lost citizens that work for the city, Daryl Shoup and Oscar Coleman. So if we just take a minute to think about them in silence, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Both valuable men to the community, and we certainly miss their contributions. Wish their families well. Now, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all. And now, if we could have the roll call, please.
Barr.
Mute. Unmute.
Here.
Swanson.
No.
Okay, sorry. Echo.
here,
Dallas.
Unmute, Bill.
Here.
Hauser. Hicks.
Here.
Bradshaw.
here,
Myers. Gaber.
Here.
Willing.
Here.
Thank you. On the consent agenda, we have two items, the minutes and then bills totaling. We have a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Barr, second by
I'll second it. Willie?
John Willie. Roll call, please.
Barr.
Yes.
Echo.
yes,
Dallas.
Yes.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Bradshaw.
yes,
Myers. Gaber.
Yes.
Willing.
Yes.
Moving on to the regular agenda, I'd like to announce that we'd like to appoint Frank Giovanini to replace Bill Swanson in Ward 1 as an alderman to the council. Frank has served the city many times and the zoning board, the library board, and he also served on the school board too. He's a businessman and well known in the community, and his business experience and trade experience will become a big asset to the community and to the council. So at this time,
I've known Frank for a long time. I would like to happily move that we accept him as a city alderman.
I'd second that, Hicks.
motion by Brian, second by Don Hicks. Roll call, please.
Echo.
yes,
Dallas.
Yes.
Hauser. Hicks.
Yes.
Bradshaw.
yes,
Gaber.
Yes.
Willie.
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Well, we'll welcome Frank with swearing him in at the next meeting. Okay, item B, removal of restricted parking on Murphy Street. Chris Brock. Would you like to comment?
Good evening, everyone. If you recall, last month, we decided to remove the no parking zone on the north side of Murphy Street as a trial to see if there was any issues. in excuse me, in leaving that permanently a no parking zone. Didn't have any issues there. We monitored it throughout the month. Did not receive any calls or concerns with that either. So we'd like to propose to make that a permanently allow on-street parking in that block, with the caveat that we make the north side a snow route, just so when there is more than 2 inches of snow, those folks will get their cars off the street, so we'll have room to get the snow plows through.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Jamie,
I'll second it. Callis.
second by Bill Callis, to remove the restricted parking. Roll call, please.
Collis,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Lily,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Echo,
Yes.
Okay, so move. Okay, moving on, item C. Wastewater treatment plan, software and hardware. Jake.
Good evening, council.
Hi, too, by the way.
So we've reached the point in our treatment plant upgrade process that we're needing to start develop our SCADA system. For those of you who aren't familiar with SCADA systems, it's a digital computer-based program that will allow us to control a large portion of the treatment plant. Right now, the plant is a manual operation, meaning we have to physically go out and start pumps, open valves, make flow adjustments, make gate adjustments. Everything we do, we have to physically go out and do it. Now, in the last 20 years, when water and wastewater plants have undergone minor to major upgrades, they've incorporated this SCADA system that allows operators to operate a portion of the plant from a computer. Some treatment plants do a substantial SCADA system where they can operate the entire thing from the computers. Others will scale it back and give them capabilities of operating the important portions of it, but yet still leaving some things manual. This is the system we're going with on ours. We're still going to have some manual things out on the plant. And in my opinion, during design, this was the better route to go because at the treatment plant, you still want to have visuals of the equipment operating, the plant running. You don't want to be totally dependent on being able to run from a computer. So we didn't do a full scale SCADA system. However, most of our main equipment is able to run off the SCADA system. So the SCADA software tends to be a little on the high side because of what it provides. Unfortunately, there's really only a couple manufacturers of this type of software. And so we're really limited on looking at different avenues. It's usually 1 to 2 manufacturers around the country manufacture the SCADA software. So we designed around one manufacturer. So we're at the point now where Farnsworth Group is going to start creating the SCADA system, which is specific to our treatment plant as we get this new equipment installed and online. So this is something we knew ahead of the project and ahead of our budget year that would not be eligible for to be included in the low interest loan. This is something that had to be paid for out of pocket. And we did budget for that this fiscal year. So that current quotation for that software is $32,025. The nice part about this is being software, once if we go ahead and approve it and go forward and put the order in, most of it is downloadable. A couple items of it are physical disks, but we can get going right away on structuring that SCADA system. So I would recommend that we move forward with the quotation and purchase the necessary software for our SCADA system. This is a one-time purchase. Once the software and hardware is purchased, it will serve the treatment plant for the duration of its life until the next upgrade. The only additional cost will be some minor annual subscription costs for some of the online software. So I ask permission to move forward with that purchase.
Any questions for Jake?
Jake, would you talk about the cost for like an upgrade 2 years down the road? I mean, do they have some type of a scheduled system?
As far as the SCADA equipment itself, or as far as for the software upgrades, or?
Yeah, software upgrades.
Yes, there's periodic upgrades that are included that once you purchase, you will get sent notifications that an upgrade or an upgrade download is available. But pretty much the software and hardware is a platform that we will build our specific process onto. So the upgrades that will be available are pretty few and far between because every system is custom built around their treatment plant, if that makes sense.
Okay, we have a proposal. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion acceptance of the bid from Kirby Risk.
This is Jamie, I'll second.
Second by Jamie. Roll call, please.
Hicks,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Haver,
Yes.
Lily,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Betcha,
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes.
Don't go anywhere, Jake. We have a change order on the plant improvements. You want to discuss that too?
Yes, for my least favorite agenda items. We're at change order number 4 in the treatment plant process. This one is a smaller one at $22,186, which includes 5 different changes to the contract. Most substantial item of this is the RFP number 26. Now, this one, what happened is we have 2 of our clarifiers that were built in the 1986 project, and we're retrofitting new equipment into the existing tank from a different manufacturer. So it drives the cost up on the bids originally for that to retrofit a different manufacturer into an existing clarifier, and we knew that. So we're trying to repurpose some of our existing components in that clarifier to match up with the new manufacturer. So in looking at that, as we got deeper into the clarifier, we noticed some of the steel was in a little worse shape than we thought. And what we were trying to salvage, although it is salvageable, it's going to require a little significant restoration to use it. So we contacted the manufacturer and said, okay, what would it take to add on to the contract for you to replace everything with your own equipment instead of us trying to salvage some of the prior equipment in those 2 clarifiers? They gave a price for that. And then what we did is we looked at some other items of that clarifier that were part of the design, but were deemed unnecessary. And we cut those to give us a credit from Williams Brothers on their bid. So the offset of the additional equipment to replace what's there and borderline unsalvageable, and then the elimination of the additional launder covers that we realize we don't need to cover our channels, it brought us to a difference of that $9,535. We were able to save over $50,000 on eliminating those launder covers that we deemed unnecessary. So to me, for less than $10,000 to be able to replace all that existing equipment that once we tore into it, realized it wouldn't be that salvageable. We realized that was going to be a much better way to go. for the fact that it's going to cost almost that between steel repair, cutting and adding new steel, sandblasting, painting to try to save it. So to me, that's a $9,000 very well spent. That's going to serve the life of those clarifiers rather than trying to repurpose what we thought and we'd hope that we could salvage. So that is the RFP 26. Number 27 was similar to some other ones we've had in our previous change orders, to where we designed the plant around a couple certain brands of filters that were pretty similar in anticipation of receiving those in the winning bid. And in the winning bid, we received a brand of filter that was a little different than the ones we had designed for. So we had to make some adjustments to suit those filters in the existing spots. So that one at a total of $1,548. Just some minor anchors, extra concrete, some minor adjustments in the existing holes to fit the new filters. RFP number 28. This was something that got overlooked in design. Our sludge pumps, being that they pump thick sludge, and on a harsh winter, there's times we've had underground sludge pipes freeze. We have to protect those pumps and that piping, and we have to put sensors on the piping that once they reach a certain high pressure, they'll automatically kick out the pump, so we don't either destroy the pump or cause a break in the pipe underground or in a building from, say, a frozen pipe or a blockage in that pipe. It more or less protects all the equipment. Something that was discussed but somehow got left out in the ultimate design. Something that we've depended on for years in our sludge pumps, and that we will need them for protection. So the additional cost to add those into our new sludge pumps and sludge systems was $3,818. Again, a change, but for that amount of money, for what we're protecting and saving, in my opinion, worth the money. Number 4, RFP number 29. This was for our lift station upgrades and repairs. Similar to number 1 and our valve vaults, our existing piping that looked good from a visual inspection on the outside. Once they got in there to replace our check valves and isolation valves in those valve pits at various pump stations, Illini Pump Station, Lee Street Pump Station, North Division Pump Station. Once they took some of those pipe fittings off, they realized that they were corroded to the point where walls were too thin to support pressure. That one, there was really no option. We had to replace some of those pipe fittings because there's no way that they would suffice very long in the new system. So the change order for all that extra piping and pipe fittings was $5,999. Last RFP is number 30. Again, something that got overlooked and I guess assumed in design. The overhead doors that were replaced in the treatment plant, most of them were automatic, where we have an automatic button rather than manually raised. And most of those are that way so we can get equipment in and out quick during cold weather and sludge hauling. When we have automatic garage doors, Republic Services, our sludge haulers, we can give them clickers so they can remove our sludge dumpsters and empty sludge without having to summon an operator, get out and get into our buildings to open the doors. So something we saw as advantageous and efficient. However, when bids came in for these overhead doors, once they started coming in and getting installed, it was noticed that there was nothing that called for remote clickers for these doors. So the only way to open them is to get out and go in. And what we were trying to accomplish with going with these manual doors to save time and manpower for our dumpsters, roll-offs, we found that we needed to install these, the ability to use remote controls to open these overhead doors. So the added cost of adding the clickers and the antennas and the system to be able to do that altogether for the whole plant was $1,286. So those 5 changes brought us to a total of $22,186. Most of these were negotiated down. It was a higher number to start with. So between us and Farnsworth, we were able to bring that number down substantially from where it started a while back. And as always, we're always looking at a way where we can shave costs and develop credits to offset these change orders. And like I was saying, RFP number 26, we received almost a $70,000 credit just from eliminating some unnecessary components to really offset that one. And that's what we're always trying to do. So after this change order, our total change order amount that we would have spent is $157,207. That is out of our $1.1 million contingency. So if this change order is approved, we're only at 14% of our contingency funds over a year into the project and less than 2 years of completion. So again, I hate change orders. I know everybody hates change orders, but for the time frame, the amount we've done and the amount of change orders at 14%, we're sitting pretty good for that contingency fund.
Jake, you put a lot of hard work into that and it shows. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jake? All right. Jake, we appreciate all of your efforts. And now we need a motion to approve the change orders.
I'll motion acceptance of all the change orders. Jake's always asking for money.
I'll second it.
Who was the second?
John, Willie?
John Willie. Roll call, please.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Kurt, are you here now?
Muted.
Gaber,
Muted also.
I was on mute. I'm sorry. Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Echo,
Yes.
Alice,
He's muted.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
And guys, just so you know, that phone number, that's Jerry. He's on now.
Hey, can you hear me, Mary? Mary Jones?
Yes.
I can barely hear you when you ask for the roll. I don't know if it's your mask or you need to
I
just
don't have
go
a
louder.
bad time. Jerry, did you want to vote in this last change order?
I don't know if we can unmute him, but, okay.
We can't unmute him from
Okay.
our end.
All right. Well, we're going to move along at this point. Get on to the ice rink sponsorships. Taylor, you got a minute?
I do. Yeah, it'll be hopefully pretty quick, pretty straightforward and to the point. I've had, without even solicitation, I've had a couple of businesses reach out to me personally and ask if there's a way that we can somehow get their name up on our ice rink and possibly partner with an advertisement. I've worked with Gary Bruner at the high school. If you guys have seen those signs that they have out on the football field, be the exact same process as them. They pay a fee, so this would be the $500 per year, and that would be for the year, and they'd have to renew it every single year. But then they would work with the sign company, Diaz, and they would pay for all those costs that are incurred with that, as far as the design, the material, all of that. All of that would be on the business owner to do that. So really the only thing, like you see in my memo, the only thing from the city that it would cost us would be basically just to hang up the sign. And I've talked with Rick Rambo, he's from our maintenance department, and he doesn't see any problem with putting those up there. It won't damage the boards at all. And it's something that we could do every single year. So it's something, again, that businesses have come to me about. So I wanted to come to you guys and ask permission to go ahead and move forward with that contract that I have in there. And then renewing those every single year after that. And if you guys have any questions, I can answer those too.
How did you arrive at the amount, Taylor? Is that the one?
Worked with Bob on that one. The high school, theirs is a little bit less, but I've seen, even more expensive. I've seen up to 1,000, 1,500. So this was a happy medium from a lot that I've seen.
Taylor, the fact that people are coming to you means that that the ice skating rink's getting some attention and seems to be viewed well. So that's a good sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really has. And to your point, Jamie, yeah, they see value in, the amount of people that are up there and the amount of eyes that are on there. So yeah, it's a good thing that they're coming to ask, hey, here, take my money. We want to be able to have our name out there too.
The only thing that really concerns me is, do we want to have advertising on everything that we do as a city? And when will somebody come and say, let's do this at the splash pad, or, other places that we do? And is that set?
Mm-hmm.
I think this one makes good sense, though. It's pretty public, right downtown. So I think it's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, and it's really popular, Kelly, and I totally get what you're saying. That's a good point. This is, strictly on the inside, only really the skaters that are going to see it. So it's not going to be really an appearance thing for the public that really isn't on it. Whereas some of our other facilities, that might be a problem. I totally get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I just, I don't want to open up the can of worms of everything we do that we end up blasting everything.
And we can limit this too. Correct, Taylor?
Yes, that's all I got. If there's any other questions.
Well, my only real question is I don't want to see nothing but signs, but we should limit it to, a number. After we get the first ones in or something, it works from there.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want anybody to come up and say, well, you did it for Joe's Pizza or whatever, or Mario's Pizza. We wouldn't do it for, the other guy. So just let's see how it goes and then determine if we need to go down any further. But I think it's well worth it. It'll just add to the flavor of the place. So we'll take a motion to go ahead with the project.
This is Don. I would so move.
I'll second Mike Barr.
Second by Mike.
Yeah.
Let's have the roll call, please.
Gaber,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Echo,
Yes.
Alice,
Unmute, Bill.
I'm misreading this every time. Yes, please.
Hauser, Bradshaw. Yes.
That was all.
Thank you, Council.
Moving on, we're going to go to item F, Block 59 Marketplace. I hope everybody read through the little brochure. Bob, you want to?
Sure, I'll start out and then Liz and Mary are going to take over. But during the past year, as we've really kind of been shut down, we've been doing a lot of researching, particularly as businesses would close the downtown area, realizing that we needed to get out front for when things opened up. And some of the webinars that we've been attending were by Roger Brooks. We talked about Roger a year or two ago. He was in Normal. He's one of the leading community development experts in North America, does work all over North America, and goes to several hundred cities every year. And Roger's favorite quote is for the first time, quality of life is leading economic development. And the last webinar, he talked about what are the things that are driving economic development, particularly in this environment where things are so competitive that cities are tripping all over themselves to offer incentives, counties, economic development organizations. And what is it that really is going to be driving those decision makers? You see on the screen, it's really no surprise of the things that he's listed. A lot of those things came out of our discussions as we were in neighborhood parks a couple of years ago during the Heart and Soul program. And it's the same stuff: safety, good educational system, an engaged community, performing arts, food, entertainment, life after 6 o'clock, recreation, and on and on. And of course, number 10 really is in terms of economic development, secure jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities are really at the forefront. And so one of the dilemmas that we've had is when, particularly in the downtown area, there's a lag between when a storefront becomes available and to have a retailer ready to move in there. And we had other programs like the placeholder, and that was successful in one case. And as we were researching of what other communities do, there was a novel take on retail incubators. And we're calling this our Block 59 Marketplace Initiative. Block 59, of course, is being the block south of the courthouse. We want to really get that name brand out there. But this is an incubator program that we feel really help jumpstart the development of business opportunities for local entrepreneurs and would-be merchants. We have talked to several potential candidates. We brought this concept to you back in late summer, and we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. We, of course, have our first one coming that's going to be the house, the office, or the skates at the skate park. And so we hope within the next few weeks to tie down a couple more potential vendors. And with that, we have the outline of the program. And I'm going to turn it over to Liz and Mary now to take off.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Council, for having us speak. Mary, I'm just going to have you say hello to make sure that we're catching you okay. Mary's actually in the room with the mayor and Bob Carls. Can you say hi, Mary?
Hi.
Okay, you might need to come a little closer to the mic.
I'm right next to the computer. Can you hear me now?
A little bit better, yeah. Just make sure you speak loudly. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to present to you Market 59. Mary actually is the one that designed this logo. It's obviously off of Block 59. And we based this, as Bob alluded to, we based this off of a couple of projects that we found. Mary, if you'd like to go ahead and take over.
Sure. I'm going to actually get in front of the camera. Maybe you can hear me better this way.
Much better.
So Muskegon and Batavia are two communities that also have moved forward with these ideas. Muskegon actually started theirs, they call theirs the Western Market, and it's been in effect since 2017. And Batavia just started theirs this year. They had 8 little pop-up shops this summer. Moving into actually their last weekend was last weekend. And 5 of those 8 shops are moving into permanent storefronts in their downtown. And that's where we really got this idea, was from these two communities. And like we said, like Bob said, like we've said before, we really want to do this to bring more businesses to our downtown, to give them the opportunity to try out their business and then hopefully move on to become a permanent storefront in our downtown community. Liz,
just go ahead. Just to piggyback on what Mary just said, and it alludes back to what that list of 10 things that Bob had mentioned. People are looking for secure jobs and also entrepreneur opportunities. And I think that this really offers that for that quality of life for our community.
So in your packets, you have a frequently asked questions and application bundle there. So just a couple of key points in our application process. We aren't requiring that these people already have a business, but we do require that they have a business plan, that they know what they're getting themselves into, and that if they have any permits or licenses necessary for the type of business they want to open, they are responsible for that on their own. We also don't want any multi-level marketing or direct sales companies. We want unique products, unique services, unique businesses to our downtown area. So once that application is sent in, we are going to be forming a committee of community members. We have some people in mind that we'd like to ask to be part of this, but we would like representatives from a cross section of the business community to really get a good idea, who have that experience and knowledge to know what a business needs to succeed. So these applications would then go for a blind review to that committee. That committee would then select their finalists that they'd want to bring in for an interview, have a conversation with, and then from there we would select those who are promising and would be offered the opportunity to have one of these storefront pop-up shops.
Also, I would just like to add all of the paperwork, the brochure, the FAQ, all that stuff, along with the logo. Mary did a really good job on putting those together.
Thank you, Liz.
Uh-huh.
As far as timeline goes, we are hoping to have applications due by February 5th and give that committee a month to look over, have those conversations with the final decision made by the end of February, where we then bring it back to you to review and then have leases signed and due March 15th, with the shops opening May through September, and an optional October month for those who think that they can use that extra month in that shop. Liz, I'm going to throw this part over to you.
Yeah, one of the key elements of this whole program, though, is that we're setting these people up for success. And so that was a big part of our research, was how can we help people to establish themselves in a business and then be able to move on beyond just these tiny shops. And so we actually went to downtown Central Business District meeting, and we polled all the current business owners and asked them, like, what do you wish you would have known? What kind of training do you wish you would have had and before you opened your store? And then what do you wish you knew more about now? And the topics that they picked were actually pretty eye-opening, and it was pretty cool to see that and get knowledge from people that are actually out there doing it. And I've spoken with Stacy Shrewsbury. We're hoping to partner with Heartland Community College through this. They offer a lot of entrepreneur programs. And this way then we'll have these classes that'll be a core element of the whole entire program that the business owners can attend, current business owners can attend as well. So with all of this, we're just asking council for permission to start moving ahead in the next step of publicizing and putting the applications out and starting to find businesses.
Very exciting. I like it. I mean, if you're looking for a motion, I'd easily say yes.
Is that a motion, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Gabriel seconded.
Okay. Gabriel. We'll have a roll call then.
I think Sherry's actually going to need to move around in front a little.
Really? Really?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Emma?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Bradshaw? Yes. Gabriel?
Yes.
Jerry, are you in there?
Well, thank you, council. I don't know if Sherry had something else. I kind of heard her speaking, but thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Moving on, item G is for golf course updates. Bob's got a few facts for us to see how our interest is.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The mayor announced back early fall that we've been approached by the Elks about the potential of purchasing the golf course. During that time, we've been meeting with them, and they've come to the conclusion that that they are not sure that they can provide long-term sustainability to the golf course. Because of that, they've explored various options and alternatives to the ownership and management of the course. As they thought through those options, they thought it would be in the best interest of the community if it became a municipal golf course. And so they approached us back late summer. As we announced at that meeting, we've been in discussions, and we wanted to take this opportunity to bring the community up to date as to where those discussions have taken us and where we're at today. Before we get into where the proposal stands, we wanted to take a few minutes just to review what a golf course means to a community. And of course, the most obvious ones is that it provides recreational benefits. Golf courses, the game of golf is for everyone. It's inclusive of all generations, from children to senior citizens. Golf is played all through all stations in life, and is all great activity for senior citizens. And as we look at our recreational programming, this helps fill a void in that area. Secondly, golf courses provide safe walking trails. Hope we don't have it, but when we have snow, can be cross-country skiing. The abandoned road right-of-way that runs through the Elks is a major arterial of our master plan. It connects up with two other stretches of abandoned railroad right-of-way that we already own. And as grants become available, we look for the development of that as well. Of course, there's environmental benefits. It's a great provider of green space in the community. It's also an excellent use of floodplain and floodway, that there is practical use put to use in those areas. And then another area that is not often thought about but that's the whole area of economic development. Municipal golf course, our golf course in general, provides many avenues of revenue for nonprofits through golf holidays and other special events. If you talk to many of the nonprofits in our community, they are a healthy fundraiser for them. Secondly, it's an important piece of the puzzle in recruiting and retention of business and professionals to our area. As the hospital is recruiting doctors, as the GLCEDC and city staff are trying to attract businesses, this is certainly an important part of our recreational makeup of the community. And lastly, it brings people to town, not necessarily in the traditional sense of tourism, but it brings people within a 30-40 mile radius, which has really become our focus through the pandemic, of trying to rebuild and solidify that base. Because when people come, it introduces them to the community. It provides additional sales and revenue for local businesses, and in turn, tax money as well. There's another economic benefit is that traditionally property adjacent to the golf course have significantly higher EAV. In this instance, 13.6% of the city's residential EAV is immediately adjacent to the golf course, with only 4.5 of the residential units. If there's a 10% decrease in this EAV, that means a loss of $116,000 in property taxes that would be offset by other properties in the community. So as we talk about with the Elks Lodge, as we were working with staff, said what are the factors that would contribute to us, the city, helping to provide that stability that is a concern. And this is not a new concept, that nearly 20% of all the golf courses in the United States are owned by a municipality. Traditionally, that has been a piece of the recreational fabric of communities across the country. And the whole key to the long-term viability is to increase the amount of play, and which in turn will lead to the sustainability of the revenues. Next one. So to that score of creating additional revenues, we would use our community development team, our marketing team, to really grow the user base. We would be utilizing their marketing efforts. We would work with local businesses to see how we can partner with them. We'll be reaching out to not-for-profits and other groups that would host outings, and the goal of which would be to really generate additional usage of the course. Second area that we would focus on is through our recreational department. And by that, we would be growing new golfers, that we would hold clinics and camps for youth, for all ages, to grow more golfers. Additionally, wonderful facilities out there that we would be able to create additional recreational opportunities through the Parks and Recreation Department. That's one of the things that they have really done in the last few years. Really developed new programming, and with this facility, we can see that expanding even further. And of course, using other golf uses, such as the high school, the elementary district, regional state sporting events, and really marketing those as well. And lastly, our Public Works Department has an area of expertise that would be helpful out there. And we wouldn't need to contract as much labor. And again, they would be able to provide expert support to the golf course staff. So that kind of paints the picture of how important this facility really is to the community, and that the goal of long-term stability is one that I think everyone would want. To that end, and as a result of those discussions, this is kind of where things stand right now. Under the plan, the city would purchase the total facility and all equipment for $500,000, which is well below the appraised value. The Elks have talked about this reduced price because the members of the Pontiac Lodge believe the sale of the property, the golf-related assets, are in the best interest of the city and its residents. We would finance that for several years, and the additional revenues generated from the course would pay off that debt. We don't anticipate this having a major impact on any other projects, and that long-term will be able to cash flow from the revenues at the Elks. So what are we getting for $500,000? Clubhouse and main building, 22,000 square feet. 2 utility storage buildings with a total combined square footage of over 10,000 square feet. Over 160 acres of land, and all of the equipment for maintaining the golf course. So as stepping back and looking, and if the community were able to go out and build a golf course, purchase 160 acres, build a 22,000 square foot clubhouse and banquet facility, build 2 storage buildings, all for $500,000, I think we'd see a whole lot more golf courses. And so that's basically what this $500,000 is buying us. The property was appraised, and the appraiser used the value of the land as the highest and best use. And the land itself appraised at over $1 million. There was a discount of around $170,000 for, again, the ultimate residential development would require the demolition of the buildings, but of course we wouldn't do that. And so there was a discount allotted to that. But the land itself is worth over $1 million. In addition to the purchase, we would then lease the clubhouse and the banquet and food facilities, beverage facilities back to the Elks. They would enter into a 7-year lease, and they would pay rent of $17.50 per month, which would then, of course, go back into the debt retirement. Additionally, the city would receive 10% of the gross food and beverage sales that's generated by golf functions. So that's kind of where we're at today. There's a whole lot of work to be done. One thing I think is important, that oftentimes when major community building blocks face difficulties and have the potential of being lost, that too often alternatives are looked at when it's too late. And fortunately, we're not at that point here, that the Elks is looking at their options. We're certainly seeing if we're a player in that, because the last thing we want is to see that become farmland or grow over in weeds, and then the reaction is, why didn't someone do something? And so I think the Elks are to be commended that they are doing something, that they're being proactive in looking at alternatives. And this could very well be the best option. As I mentioned, tonight's just updating of where we've been, where we're at. There's a lot of work to be done yet. That this is just the outline of a draft. There still is final financing that would have to be obtained, and that the Elks membership, lodge membership, would have to approve this as well. So we'll be continuing to work on this, continuing to do the background. And then as things are finalized, as the other actions are taken, we'll be bringing this to the city council for their consideration. I'm sure they'll be hearing from their constituents, and the whole process now is at the point of education, of knowing exactly what the proposal is, what the benefits are. And as a staff and as a city, as the council, we are taking this very seriously. We understand this is a big decision. It is a big undertaking. But as we talked about, that this $500,000 is purchasing significant assets, it also isn't starting from square one, that there's a strong base of users now, that our goal will be to grow that. The course is mature. It's a beautiful course. It's one of the best courses in the area. And so it's not like we're starting from square one. We're really halfway down the field, and it'll just be putting the staff efforts, the community efforts, leaning on those volunteers from the Elks to continue to help. So, and getting help also from the community. So that's where we're at. Still a long road to go, but I guess, Mayor, it's all yours.
We're excited. Bob has put a lot of work into this, as have the entire staff. Obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing this continue. I've spoken with other community leaders and past leaders, including former mayors, and we all see great value in having a golf course and having the city participate in whichever plan ultimately comes forward. So,
if I could just add, on the screen is kind of a pyramid of a community that started at the pink. The core services are, of course, police, fire, streets, sewer, garbage. And then there's other assets that go into this whole concept of quality of life. Our parks, library, the Amtrak station, the Recplex, the Eagle, the Van Show, the Splash Pad, the community center, most recently the ice skating rink. And those are important assets to build a quality of life around. But it's not just to have those assets, but it's also to program those assets and to ultimately use those assets to the most of their ability. That's the one thing that we've really been focusing on, is not just have the assets, but to program them. And I think that we could really add in the golf course as being one of those assets. And in addition to the golf, we really look forward to the opportunity of increased programming out there as well. I think the important thing to note too from this exhibit is that all of that, the core, the assets, the programming, is supported by economic development. That without economic development, there aren't going to be the resources for those things. But the ironic thing is that those top things, the assets and the programming, are really the things that help drive economic development. Because we've had some success the last few years with development out on 116, with the New Wallies, the Hampton Inn, Precision Planting. All of them talked about the reason they chose Pontiac was because of the various things that were going on economically, with the strong downtown, with the tourism, with the energy that they felt. And the same thing holds true with all these other things as we seek out new residents, as we want to grow our community. These things all play a part. And so that's going to be part of that whole decision.
Again, we're excited to see where it goes and hope that we can be players in the program and make this an interesting asset and a better asset for the community. I'm sure you all have questions and everything else. We will be having meetings more individually on it over the next few weeks. Probably not this week and next week, but shortly thereafter. But we do need to move on in our program. But if you have something you'd like to add now, feel free to jump in. Any questions to bring up? Again, nothing is in stone, so we're working on the project to make it as good as we can for the entire community. Moving on our COVID update, I think everybody got a page of our position on the mitigations that we're under right now and what we're doing there. It appears from all signs that we're getting that our COVID numbers are on a track that's not too bad right now, but the state is not. The state is worse off than ever as far as that goes. We need to stress the education that we've been trying to get across, that masks and social distancing are important. I had a piece that was a little differently worded that I was going to bring up, but primarily it said public health matters. You know, when we're out and about, we need to stress that, you know, to everyone. We get a lot of calls about what we can do and what we can't do, but if we can stress this, and when I was at the ice rink, I was amazed. I've been up there 3 times, 4 times, and people on the sides, they're wearing their masks, you know, they're separating, and of course the crowds are, you know, moderate to the number that we have. And I've been into several places to get carryouts and whatnot, and for the most part, masks are being used well. But there are places that don't understand the mitigations we're under. We need to reinforce that with all of it. Anything else we should jump on there? In the packet, we put in together, the city has continued to monitor compliance with the governor's COVID-19 executive order number 69, which provides a pertinent part as follows: the aspect to the portion of public health orders pertaining to restaurants and bars. All businesses that offer food and beverage to on-premise consumption, including restaurants, bars, grocery stores, food halls, may not allow indoor consumption. It has been disappointing that despite the community health risk, compliance has been inconsistent, with some local businesses appearing to be completely defying of the order. In light of the compliance issues, we've had to consider the city's role in the enforcement. We've reached out to other city officials, other cities, other counties, to see what they're doing to help with input and guidance. And we keep reissuing the same statement that we need your support to get this along. Our role has been to work with the Livingston County Health Department and the Illinois State Health Department. The order specifically designate them as the ones that are to oversee and investigate, or primary jurisdiction of all of these issues. We will continue to help. We investigate the complaints that are brought to us. The chief has had several. They've investigated, turned the information back over to the health department. As far as I know, in the entire county, there's only been 2 places that have been shut down because of the COVID issues. Neither were in Pontiac. But we need to get people to be more compliant and to wear their mask and social distance. It's been detrimental to the businesses that, you know, I mean, they're suffering. We'd like to do what we can to help them. We cannot condone them not complying with the mandates from the government. So that's where we're at, and we will try to be as conveniently helpful as we can, but we cannot bend over backwards. Any other thoughts on that? Any thoughts from the council that you'd like to throw in? I've had discussions with all of you, and it's a tough nut. So we'll keep working on it. Hopefully we can come up with a plan that would be beneficial. I guess I've made my comments for the most part. I'd just like to say that the ice rink is fabulous, and I've been really impressed with some of the skaters I've seen. I didn't know we had that kind of talent around. I'm just waiting for somebody like Eric Murphy to get out there and show them what a guy from Muhammad can do. Other than that, city council comments.
I've seen Jerry Kozer on the ice.
His feet.
He did a Facebook post.
Oh, good. Yeah, I would do that, except whatever I break would stay broken. So.
I'm waiting for you to set the example, and then I will try.
I'm better at the water that's like behind Brian's picture than I am on frozen water. So, yeah. Any other comments?
Bill, can you hear me?
Yes.
Overall, the downtown area is absolutely beautiful. Some family friends are in town and different people I visited with. We've gotten in a car just go for a ride to show them all the spots, and not to mention all the neighborhoods that have come forward. Maybe it's because they're staying home more, but we have a lot of beautiful neighborhoods where the local people have really gone out 100% to help the city look as beautiful as it does. Congratulations to our staff.
I've been impressed with a lot of the blocks and community areas. If you haven't had the opportunity, this is the last year for Bob Riley's big display. Well worth taking a short drive and taking view.
Chris, this is Jamie. Can you please thank your crew? You guys have done a really, really wonderful job making the downtown area, the city look good. I know it was a lot of work. Thank you so much.
Pass that on to the guys. Thank you.
You're creative genius, Chris.
Always a challenge. We get her done.
No raise, Chris, but a nice attaboy.
Can Alan Schrock please say hello?
No, talk.
Bill, I was told not to talk any more than I needed to, but I will say hello. And I will say one thing about the COVID thing, the new stimulus bill. Hopefully some of the local businesses will look at what opportunities there are in that bill, both for the past stimulus they may have gotten and maybe other stimulus things that might help them with some of their burdens or the reductions of their business, or maybe make better decisions on mitigation.
Ditto.
Thanks, Al. Bob?
Well, this is our last meeting of 2020. And it's been a pretty unique year, an understatement. But I would really like to acknowledge the efforts that the city employees have put forth this year. That we were in completely uncharted territory. Every department, every employee within the departments stepped up, and we really didn't miss a beat in terms of the services that we provide. Look for creative ways of doing things. And so, the whole community has pulled together, but I really want to express my appreciation to our staff.
I would echo that they've done a great job all the way around. In the public comment area, we did get a couple public comments that were sent in to us. One was from Adam Dirt, and Adam had a question: is why is the city buying a golf course? He just recently heard about this and wanted to know if this was why we're asking for a tax increase for road improvements so we could buy a golf course. And obviously it's not, as we've heard. He thought that infrastructure and roads should take priority, and he feels it's a waste of funds. The other message I don't have here, we got in. I did see it, but I've got to add him twice. Nice guy, but I don't really want to talk to him again. Oop. Second one was from Michael Hurt, and he's also wondering why we want to buy a golf course. And he worked at the golf course when he was in high school, and feels it's a great place, and he believes there should be efforts made to maintain it and keep it. But he just doesn't think that the dollars and cents of us buying it makes sense to him. So that's a couple of the public comments. The only other public comment I had was from somebody today who asked me why we don't have Uber here in Pontiac. And as it turns out, our community is too small. We would probably love to have one, but there's a state limit on size and different things that come into play.
Well, I think some of the discussion has been for the last couple of years. There's the misconception that the city has passed an ordinance not allowing them. And that is not the case. That in fact, there is state legislation that restricts cities from passing that sort of legislation. So it's simply a matter of marketplace and not one of the city keeping it out.
If I might have
do you know what the population size is?
Really, first of all, they have to have the potential drivers. Then they'll do the market analysis. They really are volume driven. And I think each market stands on its own.
Okay.
Some people have explored it. We've had some people that have gone down to Bloomington and have driven. That's where the closest they could get the approval for.
I did reach out to both Lyft and Uber today, actually doing some research on this, and I got a response from Lyft. We are in their Kankakee coverage area for drivers who wish to sign up in Kankakee, but because they have coverage areas apparently, but it's just we don't have enough support for it. It's not because they won't allow it. There's not enough drivers and customers.
Yeah, it's a market area. If I could digress for a moment back to Adam and Mike with regards to the golf course purchase, I just think we have to do a better job ourselves of explaining how funding for roads and repairs and all the other things that we're doing, how that funding actually is coming about, and how certain funds could not ever be affected towards that golf course. We just need to do a better job of explaining the buckets of how money is used and how it's really not affecting that gentleman's tax equation.
Over the next several weeks, and we can break down all of our needs.
And to that point, Mike, I had that in my notes and I forgot. This is the time of year, right after the first of the year, we collectively roll up our sleeves and start on budgets. With this sort of scenario, I think it's going to be a challenge. So give some thought as to how we might want to tackle this. I'm not sure we want to wait until we're back to more normalcy. Whether this sort of a format works. Another thing I thought was we could break the matters down into particular committees and let committees work on those particular areas, or else divide the council in half, and staff would be glad to go through the process twice. I think there's an awful lot of merit, though, to being able to sit down in a room and dive deep, because we've got some real important things moving forward. We're 1 year closer to the sunset of TIF. We've got long-term funding needs, pension needs, infrastructure, and so give that some thought. We'll talk about that at the next meeting. And we did get today our kind of business reports for our sales tax. So next meeting we'll have an analysis of exactly where things are going well, where things are not going so well. So we're going to have a lot to cover in the next 3 months.
And with that, we have a motion for adjournment. Moved by Mike, seconded by Bill Cowles.
And wish everybody a very Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
You too.
Here's everyone.
Absolutely.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.